Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss about erythrocyte size abnormality. Erythrocyte size abnormality is also called as anisocytosis, which is variation in size of erythrocytes that you commonly see in blood smear. It is also represented as RDW in CBC reports. RDW also stands for red cell distribution width. And anisocytosis can also be estimated with the help of MCV in CBC reports. So, mean corpuscular volume is directly proportional to cell size. If MCV is high, then erythrocytes are bigger in size. Majority of the erythrocytes are bigger. If MCV is low, then majority of the erythrocytes in the sample is smaller. And red cell distribution width will compare each and every erythrocyte that is present in the sample, and it compares the width of the smallest erythrocyte with the width of the largest erythrocyte. And if the difference is too much, then the RDW will be high. If the difference is not too much, then RDW will be within normal range. And most commonly, RDW will be high in regenerative anemia because of macrocytosis and polychromasia, and it is also commonly seen in microcytosis in iron deficiency anemia. So, anisocytosis is observed both in regenerative and non-regenerative anemia. So, coming to microcytosis, as the name indicates, predominant of the erythrocytes in the given sample is smaller than normal. Again, microcytes can be classified into two: normochromic microcytes and hypochromic microcytes. Normochromic microcytes, they stain normal and they have adequate hemoglobin within, whereas hypochromic microcytes are paler and they have reduced hemoglobin content. So normochromic microcytosis is very commonly seen in anemia of chronic inflammation, whereas hypochromic microcytosis is very commonly seen in iron deficiency anemia as a result of altered iron metabolism, and it can also be seen in portosystemic shunts. In CBC, you can actually differentiate between microcytic normochromic versus microcytic hypochromic anemia with just looking at 4 parameters. So in microcytic normochromic anemia, the hemoglobin and MCH will be normal and MCV will be less and RDW will be more because it is microcytic, and RDW is going to be low because there are normal erythrocytes and there are small erythrocytes. So the difference in the width is more, so RDW is going to be high. So, but when you see microcytic hypochromic anemia, you will definitely see hypochromasia and hemoglobin will be low. So is MCH, and again MCV will also be low because it is microcytic, and RDW will be high because of the variation in the size. So the most common causes of iron deficiency anemia is chronic occult blood loss, and the best example is gastrointestinal bleeding. It could be gastroduodenal ulcers, sometimes paraneoplastic syndrome leading to gastroduodenal ulcers. That can commonly happen in mast cell tumor, and like so many conditions can cause chronic occult blood loss. And there is another mechanism that is called as ineffective iron metabolism, which means like the body has enough iron stores, but there is a transport protein which is not enough or which is not present in the circulation at all. So iron is not transferred to different cells in the body, so iron is not utilized. So as a result, iron is just stored in the tissues, and iron keeps accumulating in the tissues. So if you see this picture, you have this liver. Synthesizes transport protein, and these transport protein will actively bind with iron, and they transport it to different cells that need iron. Best example is they go to bone marrow, and erythroblast cells and stem cells require iron for erythropoiesis and maturation and oxygen transportation, etc. But when the transport protein is not there, then ineffective iron utilization happens. That can lead to iron deficiency anemia. You should also know that there are certain breeds like Akita, Shiba Inu, Chocho, and Sharpies. They all have abnormally small erythrocytes with abnormally high potassium within. That's exactly why when these breeds have hemolytic anemia, they will also have hyperkalemia. Okay, so this is a busy slide which actually gives you all the information that you need to know about iron metabolism and important role of hepcidin. So for example, let's start from here. So when there is low plasma iron and low iron stores, then hepatocytes, they sense that iron is low in the plasma and in the body. So what happens is the liver has iron sensing system. So this system is activated, and the liver stops producing hepcidin, and as a result of that, ferroprotein in enterocytes and macrophage membrane will start transporting iron into circulation, and this iron will be utilized by various tissues. So what happens gradually? The plasma iron and iron stores will have enough iron, and that will have negative effect. So when there is sufficient iron in the plasma, again hepatocytes will sense this, and liver will start producing hepcidin. Do you understand? Because hepatocytes contain iron sensing system. So if there is more iron, and hepcidin will be produced, and this hepcidin will inactivate ferroprotein in enterocytes and macrophage membrane. So less iron is absorbed and recirculated. Hence, it helps to avoid iron overload and maintains homeostasis. So all you need to know is hepcidin has an inversely proportional relationship with iron metabolism. If hepcidin is high, then iron absorption and iron metabolism is going to be low. If hepcidin is low, then iron absorption is going to be high. And coming to the intestines, so when the iron is absorbed via enterocytes, the absorbed iron is circulated into plasma via portal circulation through liver. And then what happens? transferrin proteins. These transferrin protein binds to iron and they are going to transfer it to the cells, for example, immature erythrocytes such as erythroblast. These cells will utilize iron for their maturation, and once the circulating erythrocyte is done with its duty and it is going to be retired, it is engulfed by splenic macrophages, and then erythrocyte is destroyed and the iron is again left out, and the left out iron is again bound with transferrin and it is recirculated in the system. And this is exactly how our body efficiently utilizes the iron. Coming to macrocytosis, macrocytosis is when you have large number of erythrocytes that predominate in the given sample, and macrocytes can be two types. They can be polychromatic, otherwise immature erythrocytes, or hypochromic macrocytes. So polychromatophilic macrocytes are actually immature erythrocytes. All immature erythrocytes are larger than mature erythrocytes, and they stain blue with Romanowski stains because of RNA content in them, and they are released in response to hemorrhage and hemolysis. Whereas normochromic macrocytosis is commonly seen in myelodysplastic syndrome or in kittens that are affected with FELV infections. But there are some breeds that normally have normochromic macrocytosis. The best example is miniature poodles. And laboratory errors should also be countered when you see abnormally high macrocytes. That includes prolonged storage of sample, aged sample, underfilled sample, and damaged cells during shaking. All these things can lead to erythrocyte swelling, which is an artifact. I hope this video was informative. Thank you so much for watching this video. And all this information is collected from BSAVA Hematology Manual. Thank you.